Before anything else, I need you to hear this and hold it close. Don't click away. Watch this till the end, because if you stop too soon, you'll miss the truth heaven is whispering right now. You'll miss the healing that's buried beneath your questions. You'll miss the moment when what looked like silence becomes a sacred preparation. You've been carrying the weight of unanswered prayers and unspoken disappointment, and you're wondering, God, have you forgotten me? Am I invisible to you? Why is everyone else receiving their answers, their healing, their love, their open doors, and I'm still here, waiting in the hallway of heaven with no sign you even hear me? But this is what the Lord says. You are not being ignored, is preparing your heart. You are not forgotten, overlooked, abandoned, or bypassed. You are not unseen. You are being undergirded, rebuilt, softened, stretched, cleansed, set apart, not for delay, but for destiny. You are in the middle of a holy transformation that your emotions may not understand, but your spirit is already starting to recognize. Psalm 34:18 reminds us, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So if your spirit feels crushed, it's not because you are far from God. It's because you're right where He can touch you most deeply. He hasn't turned His back on you, Hayes, been turning your wounds into wells of wisdom. The silence you feel isn't neglect, it's surgery. You're not being ignored, you're being carefully refined. And yes, I know the process hurts. I know how lonely it feels to be faithful and still feel like you're standing in the shadows. I know how exhausting it is to wake up every day, hoping today will be the day things change, and yet everything looks the same. But God didn't promise you visibility, He promised you victory. And some victories begin in obscurity. Some breakthroughs start in the secret places where only He can see. He's letting the soil of your soul be broken, not to embarrass you, but so something can grow where pride once ruled. John 15:2 says, every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. That's what's happening. You are being pruned, not punished. He's trimming distractions. He's cutting off relationships that would have delayed your future. He's stripping you of idols disguised as intentions. He's quieting your atmosphere so you can hear His whisper. This isn't neglect, it's nurturing. He's preparing you for the kind of elevation that won't crush your identity. He's shaping you for a love that doesn't drain you. He's purifying your motives so that when the door opens, your heart won't sabotage the blessing. That's why it hasn't come yet, because He's too loving to answer prematurely. He would rather let you sit in silence and come out whole than give you what you want and lose you in the process. So don't confuse divine stillness with divine absence. Isaiah 49:15 says, can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has borne? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. You have not been forgotten. You are still held, still watched over, still engraved on His hands. And the waiting you feel is not evidence of rejection, is evidence of His relentless protection. He sees what's ahead. He knows what you don't. He is not moved by your impatience. He is moved by the wholeness He's building inside of you. Your time will come. The love will arrive. The door will open. The pain will lift. But when it does, it will find a heart that is ready, not just desperate. A spirit that is rooted, not restless. A faith that is matured, not easily shaken. So if it feels like God is ignoring you, step back and realize heaven is not ignoring you, it's investing in you, preparing you for more than you've asked for, shaping you into someone who won't just survive the blessing, but steward it well. Heaven is not late. It is accurate. And if you can just trust Him through the silence, you will see that what's being built in you right now will carry you into seasons your current self wouldn't even believe. You are not, invisibly, are in the middle of a holy becoming. What if I told you the love you're waiting for, the restoration you're praying for, the clarity you're crying for, won't arrive until the healing inside of you is complete enough to hold it? You keep asking for answers, but heaven is focused on your heart. God is not ignoring you, He's healing you in layers so that when the blessing arrives, you won't bleed on it. Because the truth is, God cares more about your wholeness than your timeline. The reason why you feel like nothing is happening is because you don't yet see the internal surgery heaven has been performing inside you while you've been weeping in silence. You wanted a partner. He gave you processing. You wanted restoration. He gave you revelation. You wanted a sign. He gave you stillness. Not to confuse you, but to condition you, to train you in a new language of trust. You are being transformed, not punished. You are being molded for a kind of love that requires more than your smile. It requires your spirit to be steady. You used to chase connection just to avoid being alone. You used to stay in relationships out of fear of abandonment, thinking any attention was better than none. You used to overgive and underreceive because your heart believed that sacrifice would make you valuable. But God is breaking all of that now. He's healing the parts of you that called anxiety love. He's uprooting the trauma that made you call inconsistency passion. He's detoxing your spirit from the lies that made you chase people who never had the capacity to cover you. This is not punishment, it is purification. Psalm 147:3 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And that's what He's doing with you right now, even when it doesn't feel like progress. Some days, the progress is invisible. Some days, you wake up still wondering if you're worth it. Still missing people who weren't healthy for you. Still asking if something's wrong with you. But hear me, nothing is wrong with you. Something is happening to you. Something is shifting. Something is growing. Something is being rewritten in you. The story you believed about your worth is being unlearned. The patterns you inherited are being interrupted. The places where your love became performance are being exposed and healed. And this process can't be skipped, because if you don't heal it, you'll hand it down. If you don't face it, you'll repeat it. If you don't release it, you'll attract more of it. That's why the wait has been long, not because God is cruel, but because He is committed. Committed to you, not repeating what broke you. Committed to you being able to recognize love that's real instead of chasing love that's familiar. Isaiah 61:3 says God gives us a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. But sometimes the ashes have to fall off before we see the crown. Sometimes He strips everything you thought you needed, so He can build something eternal in its place. And that building process hurts. You may feel like you're being ignored, but really, you are under construction. Heaven isn't on hold. Heaven is hovering, watching over your growth, rooting for your rise, softening your anger, calming your fears, and preparing your heart for a kind of peace you've never known. So don't rush this. Don't run back to what tried to destroy you just because the silence is uncomfortable. Don't confuse absence with rejection. God is there, in the quiet, in the tears, in the tired prayers, in the lonely nights. He is near, and He is healing you in ways you won't fully understand until the day your heart finally says, I feel whole again. And on that day, you'll realize the greatest gift God ever gave you wasn't the relationship or the miracle or the answered prayer, was the healed heart that allowed you to receive it. And that healing, it starts now. It's already happening. What if the quiet seasons are actually God's greatest classroom? What if the silence you're experiencing isn't a punishment, but a preparation so deep that only stillness could teach it? You've been looking around, checking time, seeing people get engaged, married, elevated, healed, restored. And yet your phone is still dry, your inbox still empty, and your hope hanging by threads. And somewhere deep down, you're beginning to wonder if maybe God has placed you on the shelf while He writes stories for everyone else. But listen to me closely. You are not on the shelf. You are in training. The silence is not stillness, sacred shaping. Because what God is doing in your heart right now is not casual, it's covenant preparation. He's developing endurance for what's coming. He's making sure that when the waves rise and winds blow in the future, your soul won't flinch. Your faith won't collapse. Your emotions won't hijack your direction. This is not a time of nothing. This is a time of inner strengthening. It may feel like you're losing momentum, but you're actually gaining maturity. You're not being delayed, you're being disciplined, not as punishment, but as positioning. Because God never elevates you publicly before He has established you privately. And what you think is being withheld is actually being deeply rooted in the soil of your spirit. He's testing how you wait. Not just that you wait, but how you do it. Do you complain? Do you compare? Do you create idols out of timing? Or do you say, Lord, even here, even now, even without the blessing, I still trust you? Because trust is not proven when the door opens, be proven when nothing moves and your faith still lifts. James 1:2-3-4 says, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. That's the goal, not lacking anything. But before God gives you love that doesn't leave, He must teach you identity that doesn't beg. Before He brings healing that's complete, He must uproot belief systems that taught you survival instead of wholeness. Before He sends a spouse or a new beginning or a purpose-shaking shift, He builds foundation. And foundations are never loud. They're underground. They're not shiny, they're steady, not visible, but vital. So while you're asking for fruit, God is building root. While you're crying out for a miracle, He's constructing muscle, spiritual stamina, heart maturity, clarity of voice, sensitivity to the Spirit. Because if He gave you what you're asking for now, you might lose yourself in the blessing. But when you've been trained in silence, when your identity no longer needs applause, when your spirit has learned to worship even when it's weary, when you can walk into a room and not shrink, not perform, and not prove, then you are ready, not just to receive the promise, but to keep it. Hebrews 12:11 reminds us, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. This is your harvest season in disguise. It doesn't look like abundance. It doesn't feel like overflow. But God is pouring out peace, shaping your inner world so that your outer world will never own you. He's making you stable in the Spirit, unshakable, rooted, unmoved by delay, secure in identity, filled with grace. Because the next chapter isn't just about answered prayer, it's about spiritual legacy. And you cannot carry legacy with a fractured foundation. You cannot step into purpose while still doubting your worth. You cannot build covenant while still carrying residue from every person who broke you. So yes, heaven is quiet, but not absent. And yes, you're being trained, not ignored. And yes, when the storm comes, when the door opens, when the love arrives, when the testimony is released, you'll thank God that He didn't move on your time. You'll fall to your knees in awe that He chose the perfect moment to raise you up, because heaven is not in a hurry, it's in alignment, and so are you.